it geek easy, fellow geeks. Let's open a beverage of your choice. Because today is another episode of Frightful Fridays, in which I will be talking about Book of Blood, a movie by Clive Barker. It came out in 2009, and you can get it on Prime. Now, I loved the first 3 Hellraiser movies. Some of the other ones I've got a thing over there with some of the later ones, which are not the best. But Barker wasn't involved with those. So I was like, okay, cool. Clive Barker movie. You sort of know what's coming with him because he does this really weird kind of occult stuff. And I was like, okay, this ought to be interesting. Because that guy's got a certain type of thing that he does. And I was like, okay, cool. If this one's anything like as interesting or as weird as Hellraiser, it's gonna be good. So I sat down and turned it on, and it opens up. This isn't really. I'm not gonna give any spoilers or anything like that. It opens up with this guy. He's like eating eggs, and these really awful looking over easy eggs. I cannot over easy eggs. That you could do a whole horror movie on over easy eggs, especially very, very, very over easy eggs. And that'd probably be one of the grossest movies ever done. But I'm straying. And he's sitting there eating it. You can tell he's kind of a homeless weirdo, but he's got his face, kind of a hoodie pulled over his face. You can just see little segments of it, and you see he's kind of messed up. And he's in a diner, and he gets taken by a guy and kind of kidnapped, and you can see his face is all messed up. And the guy's taking him off his place, and he's gonna do something to the guy because he's been talking to someone on the phone. He's hired to get the guy, and he wants it in one piece, and you sort of get the impression they're talking about the guy's skin. And so I guess the guy is trying to, okay, hey, let me tell you a story. And I guess he's trying to talk him out of, doing what he's hired to do. And that's where we get into the whole gist of the movie. You have a woman and a guy. Well, there's also a really kind of a weird, murder at the beginning with kind of like a ghost type thing, which is, that scene really kind of sets things up, which is pretty cool. But the woman and the guy are going to that house to investigate like a haunting. There was the person who owned it back in the day was some sort of cult guy who was involved in rituals and typical horror movie stuff. And the woman was murdered, and so they're there to do the old haunted house type thing. And the woman is an author, so she writes books about that type of stuff. And the guy is the video tech dude to help. And she's also a teacher, and she has a guy in her class who comes in, and he is kind of well known around town as a guy who used to be uh, someone who could, like a clairvoyant, and really popular one, and then he had done it for a while. Had been kind of exposed, and people saying that he was a fraud, but she thought he was real. So she said, "Hey, come help me do this, and I want to investigate and see if this is real and the history of this thing." Yeah, it's sort of like what they do with a lot of movies and TV shows these days. And I thought it might be a little different because it's Clive Barker, and he has a tendency to go, or at least overboard with things. And that's one of the cool things about Hellraiser, man, is it went nuts. It was kind of weird. But I'm sure you could see that coming. This wasn't. And I know he's trying, a lot of people try and be different in their different movies, even though they're the same genre. I mean, like Clive Barker does these really kind of weird horror movies, and he doesn't want everything to be exactly the same. I understand that, but there's a certain people like him have a certain style, a certain thing that you expect in his movies, generally. And I don't think that they were doing it as this one. It was they were trying to go for a slow burn. They got the slow part, but there wasn't really a whole lot of tension being built. There's not a whole lot of mystery. There's not it's like, oh, gee, what's because there was a lot of talking, and just it was just like. It's like, okay, can we get to the stuff? Can we get to the exciting part? Can we get to the interesting part? Can we get to something? They got to something, but it was not interesting. It was not suspenseful. I mean, there's a way to do a slow burn, and there's a way to not do a slow burn. I know I keep going back to this. Like, take the Hell House LLC movies. One of the first ones that I did. That movie, it comes in, found footage, and it starts building up and building up. It's just like, okay, boom, 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 and you see stuff, and you're immediately invested in it. Things build up and things start happening. You're like, hey, wait, did I see something like that? Did I see this? What's this? What's it? Oh, and then by the end, at least I can't speak for everyone else, but it was like, ah! And then the last, 20 minutes, 30 minutes is just completely bonkers and off the wall. Second one was like that. Third one was okay. Then the fourth one went back to the concept, and that's the way you do it. This one, it was slow, and there was just like, okay, when are we gonna get to the good part? And I was kind of disappointed because it's Clive Barker, and I guess this was based on one of his books. But it was just like, it's like, heck, no. It was just, there wasn't much going on in it. I mean, I've seen this type of, seen better, more tension, more everything in other movies, and this one was just, no. And then there's just certain things in there where the lady at one point who was the staunch advocate of staying, because they always have to have one person or a couple saying, "Let's get out of here. We can't stay," and the one person who always kind of talks them into saying, "No, we've got to stay. We've got to stay. We can't do this," which is the dumb reason why they all stay and get killed. And I'm not saying, I'm not giving away the ending here, but even that person at one point says, "I've got to get out of here." And it was probably just she meant for the night. And then she never leaves at all, even if it's just for the short period that she means it. And it's like, did we just forget that we were kind of freaked out about what happened, and we wanted to, get away? I don't know. It's just, I'm kind of disappointed. So, 2.5 out of 5. I mean, it looked good. The final part there was an interesting part at the end. The wrap up of the end, it was kind of for me, kind of a different thing that I'd never seen before in a movie. That what the reveal was. So I got to give him that, but it wasn't enough. Excuse me. It's just, and the whole point up to this is he's just like, okay, you could have done this better. And so, even with the kind of original ending, I'm going to have to give it a 2.5 out of 5 and say, nah, I mean, watch it if you want. I wouldn't recommend you do it. But, anyway, let me know if you watched it, what you thought of it, and if you would recommend it. But anyway, like, subscribe, most of all, try and enjoy your horror.